Canelo Jacobs weekend is upon us, guys. Just a few more days. Who does your boy Fight Fiend Migs got? Sit back, get comfortable, and we'll talk about it. And if you can, stick around to the end of the video for this weekend's fight schedule. What up, guys? Fight Fiend Mix here, coming at you with another video. Thank you so much for joining me. For those coming back, welcome back. And for those here for the first time, welcome to my channel. So, as you guys heard in my intro, this is the Canelo Jacobs prediction video. Now, one thing I do want to mention at the beginning before I get started is the prediction itself. I actually did this with the previous video, and it's basically a disclaimer. If you want to watch the video, it's actually up here in case you do want to check it out. But the disclaimer is, when it comes to predictions for a football game, a basketball game, a professional prize fight, just about anybody has a 50-50 chance of getting it right, because there are two entities. Basically, a coin toss can get it right, and it could be a lucky guess, quite frankly. So anytime someone comes to me with something that I'm familiar with, like fighting, and they give me their prediction, I like to put them on the spot and ask them how, because that's when you find out whether or not they know their shit. Because, you know, some of them will kind of give you vague answers or some bullshit. Ultimately, they're going to pick the favorite, right? Common sense. And then later on, the favorite actually wins. So they come up to me and they tell me, "Oh yeah, I told you. You know, I told you so and so was going to win." No, fuck you, fool. You didn't tell me how. So one of the things I want to do with my videos is give you guys a better explanation. None of this like, "Oh, so and so is going to win," end the video. No, no, no. So that's what I intend to do there. That disclaimer is out of the way. Chances are I want to bring it back up on a future prediction video. But on to the subject at hand, the Canelo Jacobs prediction that I've thought up here. Now, on to the prediction itself. One of the things I wanted to do is take a look at each fighter's three most recent fights. Three fights for Daniel Jacobs and three fights for Saul Canelo Alvarez, and kind of come to a conclusion from that. Besides, of course, their styles and their records, and you know, there's an old saying, of course, in boxing that says, styles make fights, and it's not just boxing; it's probably MMA as well. But styles make fights, and hopefully, these two styles are going to be fan friendly. Now, starting first with Daniel Jacobs, his three most recent fights were all decisions. Two of them were, I believe, unanimous decisions, and the most recent one was a split decision. Now, to some extent, that puts into question his power. Yes, he has knocked people out in the past. He's been knocked out himself. He's been knocked down as well, mostly because he was kind of caught by surprise with that punch with Sergio Mora. But it sort of puts into question his power. The competition that he was fighting, the level of competition, those guys probably, well, maybe one was to his level. To be able to take the shots, you know, that was Russian guy who's, or I think Ukrainian, I think European, who has a solid jaw, and he was able to take Jacob's shot. That one I understand. The other two, I don't think they were on his level, and he probably should have taken them out. So, seeing that these three fights went the distance, and one of them, or at least two of them, shouldn't have, I do suspect that his power is a little lacking. Now, it could be that he cuts a tremendous amount of weight to make 160, and that makes him a little bit weak. That could be the case, because sometimes that does happen. You know, these guys are going through hard weight cuts, and they look gaunt as hell when they step on the weight on the scale. And you know, he's looked okay, but specifically with his fight with Triple G, he elected not to weigh in the day of the fight, just to not reveal how much how much weight he gained from the night of the weigh-in or the day of the weigh-in to the fight night. So, you know, he kind of wants to leave that as hidden as possible. He won't be able to do that now because there's actually a clause in the contract between these two gentlemen where Daniel Jacobs cannot gain more than 10 pounds between the weigh-in and fight night. So he's going to have to weigh in come fight night, and he better not be over those 10 pounds. They're fighting at middleweight, which is 160. He cannot weigh more than 170 come fight night. So is that going to hinder his power? Well, maybe. But you know, that's a tough one. I'm questioning his power, to be honest. So moving on to Canelo. His three most recent fights was a draw, a majority decision, and a TKO, or a KO, I think it was. I'm not sure what they classify his win over Rocky Fielding. But anyway, so 2 of those fights went the distance. Fielding wasn't on his level, so he took him out. Considering that between these two, 5 of their fights went the distance, I feel that this fight will go the distance as well. That being said, drum roll please. I guess it's no surprise. Yes, I will go with the favorite, Saul Canelo Alvarez, for the victory. It is going to go the distance. It is going to go the 12 rounds, and he will win a unanimous decision. Not going to be split. It's going to be unanimous. Um, I feel that at the beginning of the fight, Daniel's going to try to stand and maybe not necessarily trade with Canelo, but um, I guess kind of stand his ground and take some shots just to kind of test the waters and see how much power Canelo has at 160. When he feels those body shots, which Canelo will land the exact same way he landed on Rocky Fielding, who was, of course, a taller fighter and naturally heavier fighter, he's going to go to the body. I suspect he's going to do the exact same thing against Daniel Jacobs. When Jacobs feels those body shots, he's going to think twice. He's going to think twice about it. I wouldn't be surprised if he changes his game plan at that point and basically reverts back to the game plan he had with Triple G, with a lot of backpedaling, some clinching. Unfortunately, that might not lead to a fan-friendly fight, but I think to save his own ass, I suspect Jacobs is going to go that route. It may take 2, 3, 4 rounds for Canelo to start sinking those body shots real good, but I suspect that that's going to end up happening. My prediction is going to be Canelo by unanimous decision. All right, so now that we got the prediction out of the way, on to this weekend's fight schedule. So, besides the aforementioned Canelo versus Jacobs fight, which, by the way, will be on the streaming app or streaming service DAZN, spelled DAZN. For those of you not familiar with DAZN, is basically another streaming app similar to Hulu or Netflix, but particularly for sports. I'm not sure what other stuff they have there besides sports, but they have boxing and they have MMA. They're going to have the Canelo and Jacobs fight. I want to say the main card starts at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then I'm not sure if they're going to air any of the prelims, but the main card should start at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So on that app, on Saturday night, there will also be some MMA. They have a contract with Bellator. They air Bellator events on DAZN, which I personally love because I actually don't have the actual cable channel they're on, or satellite Paramount or the Paramount Network. I don't have that channel, so I can't watch Bellator through that, but I can watch it through DAZN. And of course, I get to watch the Canelo and Jacobs fight. So, and of course, Triple G just signed with DAZN as well. So it's like worth every dollar, to be honest. But there is some Bellator. I want to say the prelims start at 2 or 2:30 Pacific Standard Time, with the main card starting at 5. There are no real big names on that Bellator card, but the former Bellator lightweight champion, Brent Primus, is making his return. His last fight, he lost the lightweight title, so he's kind of back on the trail back to the title, so to speak. For those of you who want to watch some Bellator, there's going to be some Bellator at 5 o'clock on DAZN. Then there is some more boxing. This boxing, though, is going to be on TV. It's going to be on either ESPN or ESPN Deportes. There's going to be a light heavyweight title fight and a super bantamweight title fight. Now, I might suggest checking that one out. I want to say it starts at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, specifically the light heavyweight title fight, because the light heavyweight division in boxing is starting to get pretty damn interesting. Like, it's pretty damn good. You might not know these guys yet, but keep an eye on that division because it's actually getting pretty damn good, specifically because of its most recent addition, Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. He is an undefeated Mexican boxer who used to fight at super middleweight, dropped the title that he had at super middleweight to move up to light heavyweight. He recently had his light heavyweight debut, a successful debut at that division. He is undefeated still, so adding him to the mix at light heavyweight is pretty damn good. It's making that weight division a lot more interesting. That is something I might suggest keeping an eye out on, that light heavyweight division, for the rest of the year. After that, we have a UFC card. There's going to be a UFC card on ESPN Plus, which is ESPN's own streaming app or streaming service. It's going to be headlined by Donald Cerrone versus El Iaquinta. Now, if anybody knows Donald Cerrone, Cowboy Cerrone, he comes to throw down. So, when you watch your fights, you get your money's worth. El Iaquinta is no pushover whatsoever. He's a great wrestler with a heavy right hand. This is going to be one hell of a scrap. I'm literally going to be streaming that on my phone immediately after Canelo and Jacob. So I'm going to be checking that one out on my phone later on that night. The main card starts at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I want to say the prelims either at 2 or 2:30 Pacific Standard Time on ESPN Plus. Lastly, for those of you who don't know, the UFC has their own version of a streaming app called the UFC Fight Pass. In addition to an extensive video library, they air live fights. There's going to be a live event on Friday night. It's Invicta Fighting Championships, which is an all-female MMA organization. They will put together a show on Friday, which is kind of an old-school throwback to the old UFC days. They're going to have a one-night single elimination, eight-man, eight-woman, eight-lady tournament. And that's going to be pretty dope. If you don't watch female fights, you're probably missing out because they have some pretty damn exciting fights. They come to throw down as well, and those fights are pretty damn exciting. Invicta Fighting Championships. I want to say the name of the event is going to be Phoenix Rising. Phoenix Rising 1, I think, is the name of that event. So yeah, there's going to be one night single elimination 8-woman tournament on Friday. Invicta Fighting Championships on the UFC Fight Pass. That will be 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right. So, not to make this video any longer, guys, because I truly do not intend to make them long. I would like to keep your attention for the entire video, so I do my damnedest to make them short. Even with all the editing, they end up becoming long anyway. But that being said, thank you so much for watching. You guys have yourselves... Oh, you know what? Before I let you go, I'm going to post a link for a video up here in case you want to watch another one of my videos. So that'll be most likely shorter than this one. Okay, so thank you again for joining me, guys. I will see you guys on the next video. Have yourselves a good night, good day, good morning, good evening, whatever time of the day you happen to be watching this video. Thank you so much for watching once more. Have yourselves a good one. Peace.